Good morning, everybody. How are you? It's so nice to see you. So nice to start off the streaming week, at least my streaming week, with all of you today. Welcome. If you are looking for the best community for daily discussion on data science, you have found it. I stream from Thursdays to Mondays every week, or at least as much as I can. And we're here to discuss anything related to data science, to your education, careers, life, philosophy, whatever you'd like to discuss, we're here for it. I like to keep a very casual attitude towards how we structure the agenda for our get-togethers. So if this is your first time, we'll start off with what's known as our global roll call. That's where we invite you to let me know your city, state, country, province. Just a nice, easy way for you to introduce yourself. Give me just a second, guys. I just realized I forgot to enable my chat. Oh no. All right, so I just enabled my chat. Let me refresh my end. Okay, so in the chat, which will appear after you guys re-enter your messages, I ask you to please let me know your city, state, province, country. It's a nice way for you to introduce yourself, participate, and also lets us practice maintaining a professional attitude. Having a professional introduction for yourself is very important in data science. So it's a good way for us to practice all of that and be able to be part of the conversation, be part of the community. And also it lets you know how global this community is. You know, I love the fact that we have people from all over. It's really exciting to me to see so much enthusiasm for data science from all around the world. So I encourage you to please participate if you'd like. After that, I sometimes give an opening note where I just kind of give my initial thoughts on different things that are happening in the world of data science or whatnot. And then we have open questions. I walk in here with no agenda. You, the chat, essentially set the agenda based on different questions that you want to ask or whatnot. So you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to just put out whatever you'd like to talk about. And sometimes the conversation covers a lot of different topics. Other times we kind of focus in on particular topics. It just kind of depends, you know. So we'll see where we end up after people show up and the different discussions, different questions that end up happening. So again, if you're just joining me, please let me know your city, state, province, country, just a quick introduction, and we'll go from there. So I want to quickly check some of my other chats because I forgot to enable my chat extension. So I have a feeling that we have other people in other windows. Okay, Manoj, thank you so much. I see you over there on YouTube. And do we have anybody? Okay, nobody on Twitch yet. All right, so if you're coming in on any of the platforms, I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on the chat windows. But thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate all of you. Really appreciate that we get a chance to talk in data science. So for today's opening note, I'm going to wait for you guys to fill up my chat. But for today's opening note, I wanted to talk to you about how yesterday I was doing, you know, when I have my days off from streaming, I also use it to do my own research, my own studies, things along those lines. And yesterday I was doing some looking around on social media sites, and I came across a posting by, I believe, a PhD candidate at Carnegie Mellon. You know, that's a university here in the U.S. in Pennsylvania, I believe, Pittsburgh, I believe. So they have a very interesting generative engine that also uses real physics to guide some of its results. And I thought that was really interesting. And I'm doing some, you know, just kind of personal investigation into it because I think it's an interesting topic. They have a fairly good GitHub. They have good examples on there. So they're letting you use a generative engine with the addition of a physics engine layered on top of it. And some of the samples that they showed were actually pretty good. Some of the samples they showed were very, very interesting. But really, all of that is to say that I want to encourage all of you to always continually do your own research, your own studies, your own deep dives into the people and the tools that are out there, because you just never know what you're going to find. More importantly, I think that we as a collective community, we kind of get caught up in the latest and greatest, right? You get caught up in every release from OpenAI. You get caught up with every release from Anthropic, which is great. You should. But if that's all you did, then you're just kind of following the crowd, right? You're never going to find anything kind of like on your own. So I like to take those opportunities to do my own research to kind of, stray away a little bit from the path, from the beaten down path, right? If you know what people are using, okay, that's good. But don't be afraid to use your own tools. Don't be afraid to make your own discoveries. Don't be afraid to say that, okay, yeah, generative AI is happening, but that's only one aspect of data science, right? We tend to get caught up in that, but maybe your interest is really in some audio stuff or some image stuff, like still image stuff, right? Don't be afraid to follow those things or to go down and research those things just because everyone else is talking about OpenAI, right? Don't be afraid to find out your own server management style or your own web host or whatnot. Just because everybody else is talking about AWS doesn't mean you have to use that, right? So I want to encourage you to kind of think about those things, to think about different ways that you can obviously still be within the world of data science, still be growing and learning, but it doesn't always have to be the same things that other people are growing and learning from, right? So I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know. Put some questions in the chat. But that's something that I might do some content on later, because I thought it was really interesting to find somebody that's combined, or that wants to kind of combine that generative AI along with the realistic physics engine behind it. I thought that was a really unique application. And also, I've spoken before about how most programs out there, when it comes to computer science, or in some cases even data science, I don't have a lot of respect for them, because they're kind of just like average, right? Like every computer science program out there is producing the same candidate. Carnegie Mellon is one of the few universities that I would say is an exception to the rule. I think there's two, maybe three universities in the US that are different. And Carnegie Mellon is one of them. So that's another reason why that article caught my attention. All right, so thank you so much for the people in the chat. Apologies for not setting up my chat earlier. But if you're just joining us, city, state, province, country, nice easy way for you to introduce yourself. All right, so from the very top, Denelson, our good friend from LA, says, good morning, Sir Dennis. How's your week been? Happy Thursday, everyone. Yes, happy Thursday to everybody. Denelson, hope you're doing well out there in LA. I'm actually going to be out there next week, potentially. I haven't fully decided, but I might be out there. Yeah, my week's been pretty good, thank you. I spent Monday with you guys, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, I had off. Tuesday, I went for a very long walk up in the mountains. I was out there for 3+ hours. I was tiring. But yeah, I've had a good week. I'm doing my own research, doing my own studies, my own content. I've been continuing the investing series that I've been doing for December. So that one's had some very interesting results. Yesterday was a very interesting day for that algorithm. But yeah, overall, it's been a good week. Hope the same for you, Denelson. Manoj, our good friend Manoj from India, says, good morning, Sir Dennis and everyone. Hope you're doing well. Manoj from Bangalore, India. Thank you so much, Manoj. Always appreciate your great introduction. I'm doing well, and I hope you are too. Hope your family is good and safe out there in Bangalore. Let us know how the weather's like out there. I hope that the monsoon season has passed by. I know it's winter for most of North America, but I'm not sure how cold it gets out there. Rex, speaking of cold, Rex, our good friend from New York City, says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Rex. Rex, did you wake up to snow today? I thought I heard there was like a potential for snow in India. So, in New York. So hope you're doing well. Let us know how you're doing out there, Rex. Speaking of places with no snow, Osama from Morocco says, hello, sir. Hope everything is going well. Everything is going very well, thanks. Everything is going really good. It's Thursday. It's going to be a beautiful day out here. I'm going to go for a walk later. I'm probably going to go walk to the grocery store, buy my groceries, and come back. That way I can burn energy. That way, if I buy something bad at the grocery store, I can feel a little better about it because I burned off some calories. So, maybe do that a little bit later, spend some time with my dog. And I've got some questions I want to answer that people have sent me via Instagram. So I'm going to do some video replies for that. And then we'll see what the rest of the day brings. But glad you're here, Osama. Hope you and your family are well. Joseph, our good friend Joseph says, good morning, Dennis and everyone from Tennessee. Hope everyone is having a great week. Yeah, I think we are having a good week. Hope you're having a good week too, Joseph. Let us know how things are going out there. I think you said you're in Eastern Tennessee, I believe. So let us know how you're doing out there. Vic over on YouTube, I see you. Rick, we always ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know your city, state, province, country. A good way for you to participate, but I do believe it's your first time here, so thanks for being here. Rex says, no snow in New York City, and the weather was pretty warm yesterday. Really? I could have sworn I heard that there was like a snow advisory for New York City. Maybe it was upstate New York. Maybe I just assumed it was New York City. Yeah, a lot of places are warm. I think I was seeing how LA is pretty warm, right? I think Denelson can tell us that. Somebody told me that it was like 80 in LA this week or something like that. Which is crazy, right? It's crazy that there's 80 degrees in December anywhere. Well, at least in North America. But yeah, it's been crazy weather. It's been crazy weather, guys. So Joseph says, yes, they're from Eastern Tennessee. Okay, thank you. I'm glad I got that right. Joseph, I'm guessing you're pretty cold. I'm pretty sure Tennessee does not get warm this time of year. Let us know if you feel comfortable. Okay, so Vic, thank you so much. Welcome. It's your first time. You're not alone, Vic. My channel keeps on growing. So Vic says, I am from New Delhi, India. Great, nice. Love all my supporters from India. Okay, guys, so Vic is done with the introductions. He wants to get down to work. So Vic's asking a question. Hi Dennis, how would you go about wrangling and cleaning a data set consisting of heavily merged cells, filtered confidential Excel provided by the client? Data was entered manually and there are typos. Okay. All right, guys. Interesting question to start off the day. If you guys want to give your thoughts, we've been pretty successful at helping each other, right? I love when the community helps each other, right? So if you guys want to have some conversation here with Vic, let us know. So Vic, I'm gonna welcome the chat to reply. Don't let my answers bias you, but I am gonna give Vic some feedback here. Okay, Vic. First of all, when you say data was entered manually and there are typos, well, I guess independent of that, I want to know a couple things. One. Are we talking numerical data? Are we talking text data? What kind of data are we talking about? Because not all typos are the same, right? Or not all data cleaning is the same. So what kind of data are we talking about? We talking text? We talking numbers? When you say typos, what kind of typos are we talking about? Not all typos are the same. Even if it's all text data, there could still be different types of typos, right? And I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to what I mean by that. Heavily merged cells, filtered confidential Excel. What do you mean by confidential Excel? Are you talking the data itself is confidential? The Excel is password protected? The Excel is encrypted? I suppose you could be doing some encryption. Help me understand what you mean by confidential. So for everybody else in the chat, I'm saying these things out loud because these are the types of things that I ask when I'm in a meeting, right? Because you will be in this position if you go work for a large company. A group will approach you and say, hey, can you come in and sit with us on our next data discussion meeting because we think we have a data science project on our hands, but we want to get your opinion. You're going to get those types of meeting requests, right? And these are the types of questions that I'm using to kind of just like pull the string a little bit, right? Like in a way, it's the whole thing about, validating your assumptions, as I always say. But it's really just kind of like, hey, look, I'm dumb. I know nothing about this process. Tell me, what are we looking at? What is a typo? What is confidential? Like, don't be afraid to ask those questions, because, you should assume that you know nothing, right? Because you're not making any assumptions, right? You should assume that you know nothing because you don't want to make any assumptions, right? But these are the types of questions that I ask in those initial exploration meetings. So that's why I'm sharing this out, and then let me know what you think, right? What else would you be asking when somebody like Vic approaches you and says, hey, what do you think, right? Because you're really in no position to give an opinion, to give your professional opinion, unless you know these things, right? So think about that, guys. Michael, our good friend Michael from Nigeria says, hello, Sir Dennis and everyone. Michael, so good to see you. Hope you're doing well out there in Lagos. Let us know how you're doing, Michael. Joseph says, surprisingly, we stay around 30 degrees during most of winter with a few cold snaps in the single digits. Okay, but that means that rain still brings snow then, right? It's cold enough for snow. So, my condolences to you guys. I'm out here in Las Vegas. I'm now, granted, I am near the base of the mountains, so it tends to be a little bit colder where I live. But it's very rare to get snow here. I can drive to the snow. I could be at snow in 20 minutes because, I live near the snow line. But generally speaking, I will be snow free. The only thing that happens is that because I'm so close to the mountains, when the wind comes over the mountains, it creates like this natural air conditioner. So out here, the wind is like bitterly cold, like probably lower than 20 degrees. So the wind gets pretty cold out here, but I will not have snow. But I'm glad you're doing well out there, Joseph. Okay, so Denelson says, yes, we had a couple, this is from LA. Yes, we had a couple warm days, but right before we had days with fog all day. Oh, really? Is that right? Okay. Well, I'm going to be out there in a couple days, so hopefully it'll stay nice. My parents were telling me that it should be nice, so we'll see. My parents also kind of live out a little bit in the mountains, so we'll see how it goes. But looking forward to that LA weather. Okay. So Vic is giving us more detail. So guys, if you're just joining us in the chat, we're having discussion around dirty data, right? How are we going to fix it? How are we going to adjust it? So Vic adds both numerical and extensive text data, extra digits and silly mistakes, informal language and shorthand slang. Yep. Just the data itself is confidential. Okay. Michael says, I've been good, just traveling, missed the last Sunday class for our project. Hope everyone is doing great. Yeah, Michael, we missed you at that class. You missed the last class. That was the last of that series, but we'll see what we do for this Sunday. But thanks for being here, Michael. Hope your travels were good. All right, so Denelson is coming back to the problem and says, if the data is text, we can do lemmatization to find root words to help out. Yep, I like where your thinking is, Denelson. So let me go back to Vic's statement. Both numerical and extensive text data, extra digits and silly mistakes, informal language and shorthand slang. Just the data itself is confidential. Okay, so lots to unpack there, Vic. So I'll start with your third sentence, because that's what I was thinking. Informal language and shorthand slang. So that's what I was thinking when I asked you the type of typos, because not all typos are the same, guys. I don't want to give too much information, but I worked for a client that got a lot of customer service calls, where there was like a live agent, right? And they got a lot of these calls a day, like tens of thousands of calls a day, right? So don't want to name the company, but tens of thousands of incoming calls answered by live agents. And The agents, when you have that type of a call center, you have like a ticketing system, right? Or like a call logging system where you can track those issues, right? So the agents are creating those tickets as they're on the phone with the clients. So the agents kind of develop their own little shorthand in order to help them work faster. So they would have their own shorthand for things like the word customer, or for different products that the company offered. They would have their own little shorthand for that, right? So these are the types of things that you would expect in what Vic here is probably up against, right? Where it's slang or short terms or abbreviations, where to most people, kind of what do you call it? Like, to the average person, to the lay person, it looks like typos or weird typing because they don't know it, right? Vic adds, what I can disclose is that this is an Excel full of incident reports from construction jobs. Yeah, that's fine, Vic. And you don't have to go into detail. And I can pretty much imagine what kind of data you're up against, right? So what's the solution for that? Does anybody have any ideas? What's the solution for that when you have like these shorthand, slang type of things, right? Give me some ideas in the chat. I'll give you a clue. Denelson is on the right track. Denelson's on the right track talking about lemmatization, right? To find those root words. That's going to help you, but it's not going to be the only solution you need. Lemmatization will get you like, I don't know, maybe like 40% of the way there. But what else? What else could you be doing, guys? So that's the first part, right? The second part, Vic, is you also mentioned extra digits and silly mistakes. I'm assuming you mean that for the numerical data, right? The numerical data has extra digits, silly mistakes, and only the data itself is confidential. Okay, so I want to come back to the extra digits, but let's quickly handle the data itself being confidential. That's not a data science problem, right? At least not a strict data science problem. That is a combination of two things. One, it's a cybersecurity problem, and two, it's a leadership problem, right? You, as the data science leader, should have already established a culture where your team takes data privacy seriously. You either done that or you haven't, right? There's no middle ground there. And that's the type of stuff that leads you to either protect or put that confidential data at risk. I say that because I've led a lot of teams, and when I'm setting my goals for the year, when I tell my bosses the goals I want to set for the year, these are the types of goals that I set, right? Like, I don't want my team to ever have a data violation, a data breach of any kind, right? So I reinforce that with my team. I reinforce that with how I give them access to data, how I manage my files when I send them to them. Do I password protect an Excel file or do I not, right? Sometimes when you're doing the password protection, it's not because you think you have a hacker in your organization. It's because you want to show the seriousness of the data. You want to set the example for the rest of your team, right? To say, hey, look, this is something that I'm taking seriously, so I hope that you're taking seriously too. Now, of course, there could be external factors that come into that, right? There could be external forces that come in against that, right? Like some sort of greater cybersecurity breach, right? But again, that's where it's a cybersecurity problem, not a data science problem. So it's a combination of those two things, right? Right, Vic? So if you're working with other people on this, are you showing those other people that you're serious about security? Are you just flippantly emailing these files, or do you take like the security of the files themselves seriously, right? Because your team is going to feed off those things. Your team is going to follow that lead, right? All right. So Denelson says, instead of working against the word and trying to fix, maybe you can work with the shorthand so it can give the shorthand significance. Ah, okay, Denelson, you're on the right track. So how do you do that? How do you do that, guys? You're on the right track, Denelson. You're on the right track. How? There's a mechanism for that. Anybody know it? Let me know. This is where we're going to find out who the NLP experts in the chat are, right? But there are mechanisms to do what Denelson is describing here. Because Denelson already mentioned lemmatization, and he already mentioned don't fix the data, work with it, right? Don't go against it. Word embedding. Okay, you're getting even closer. You can't have word embedding without other certain tools. What else do you need? What else? What is a fundamental tool for word embedding? There is another fundamental tool you need for that, Denelson. Or anybody else who wants to contribute, let me know. Okay, so let's talk about the extra digits, because that's also fairly straightforward. Extra digits and silly mistakes when you're talking about numerical numbers. Guys, not everything is a data science solution, right? Not everything has to have a data science solution. There is a way to fix that, or at least to find those errors, right? Because I'm assuming, the first part of fixing the errors, you got to find them, right? Regex. This is where you can use regex. If you know what certain fields in your data should look like, then you can start applying your own regular expressions to it, right? You should be able to write your own regular expressions to be able to say, oh, look, yeah, this is not the data that's expected here, right? Because it sounds like Vic is up against some pretty dirty data, right? So use regular expressions. Not everything is an AI solution, guys. Not everything is data science. Regular expressions is not data science, right? I mean, regular expressions is just good old programming. And you know what? You don't even have to do that in Python. Lots of languages support regular expressions, right? So don't be afraid to think outside the box here, right? It's not always a data science solution. Especially when it comes to like data engineering and data prepping, there's a lot of ways to solve those things, right? So Vic, you can solve that with regular expressions, right? Vic says, using a local LLM instance to help in substantiating shorthand, I was able to remove almost all the anomalies and numeric values with regex, but there are still quite a few edge cases. Sure, there's always going to be edge cases, but do you have enough data to model, right? The question is not, do I have edge cases? The question is, do I have enough data to proceed with data science, with an algorithm, or whatever the end objective is, right? So don't lose the forest for the trees there. The question is, do you have enough data? Because remember, your source data is not always like what you have to stick to. Your source data is just one iteration of your data. There's nothing wrong with modeling on the subset of that data, right? So Vic, the first part of your sentence, using a local LLM instance to help in substantiating shorthand. I think it's easier than that. So if you think about Denelson's answers, what about a dictionary? Don't most I think all NLP functions require a dictionary to start from. Why not create your own custom dictionary? Right? Or I guess some people would call it your token dictionary, right? Why not create your own dictionary of tokens? You could do that, right? Lots of good NLP starts right there. Most people just go and use whatever dictionary Kaggle gives them or whatever, right? Or they pull a publicly available dictionary. But you can do your own. And then from there, if you wanted to, you could try to do your own custom embeddings too, right? Most people use standardized embeddings, but why not do your own custom embeddings? You can do that, right? The beauty of NLP, guys, is that NLP can be anything you want it to be. The algorithms, the computer, your GPU, your CPU, it doesn't know English. It doesn't know the words. It doesn't know any language, not any spoken language, right? So why not come up with your own dictionary? Start from the ground level, right? Have a corpus of what your data looks like. You can use, there's many tools nowadays, but the most popular one used to be NLTK. Use NLTK to come up with your own tokens and create your own dictionary. That's how I would go about this, Vic. Right? I don't want to say there's nothing wrong, but like a lot of people just assume like, oh, well, I have to start with an English dictionary. I have to start with an embedding file from what was the big one that was available from Stanford? WordNet? I think WordNet was the one available from Stanford, right? Oh, I got to start with WordNet. No, you don't. You can start with your own. You can make your own. All right, somebody can tell me in the chat. I think it's WordNet that came out of Stanford, right? Right? But you can come up with your own dictionary. I see you mean to say key value pairs and that type of thing. No, I mean a dictionary, like a token dictionary. If you're not familiar with NLTK, that was one of the more popular ways to come up with your own dictionaries. I'm sure it's not the only way, but like go out and do that, right? Go out and start with your own dictionary and then create your own custom embeddings, right? You can do that. And that would solve that issue because then you're letting the corpus of data be whatever it is it wants to be, right? You're not forcing it to always have to make sense or not be quote unquote slang, right? Just start from the beginning. Start from like the ground level. This goes for everybody in the chat, right? Don't assume, especially when it comes to NLP, don't assume that you have to always go out and get the pre-established dictionaries, the pre-established, embeddings, all of that. You can do whatever you want. The algorithm doesn't know. The algorithm it's all just numbers, right? Because you're going to take your dictionary and tokenize it anyways for the numerical representations. So who cares? Who cares what the numbers actually are, right? Okay, so Vic says, I would say that more than 90% of the numerical values are clean and standardized. Well, then you're done, right? You don't need to clean every single value to model on your data, right? So you're done. You're done on that. Vic says, I haven't revisited NLTK for a few months now. Damn, really need a brush up. Yeah, I mean, Vic, this is where I would go with it, Vic. Just accept your data as it is. I like the way Dennelson put it, right? Don't work against the words and trying to fix, right? Maybe you can give the shorthands some significance. Yeah, I mean, I like the way he put that, and that's the way to do it, right? Start from the beginning. Build your own custom dictionary. If you can get to your own custom dictionary, you can get to your own custom embeddings. If you can get to that, then you can go ahead and start working on modeling, and you haven't had to modify any of the data. Now, where you might run into challenges is on the results side, right? On the results side, the words are still going to come out like they would be in your data, right? But that may not be an undesirable result depending on your client or your need or whatever. In other cases, you might have to just kind of fix it topside, right? Where you have an interpretation of your results. You have to have a layer to interpret your results, right? So that's going to be a little bit unique, but it depends on your use case. Sometimes you'll need that, sometimes you won't. It kind of depends on who you're delivering it to, right? Or, you know, kind of like what you're actually looking to do. But that's what I would do here, Vic. Don't fight the data, right? Just accept the data as it is. Create your own dictionary and start the modeling from there, right? I think it's Cubasob. Cubasob, we always ask people to introduce themselves, so let us know your city, state, province, country, and happy to help you, okay? But yeah, Vic, let me know what you think about that. But or if anybody else in the chat wants to contribute. But I think that Denelson was definitely approaching an answer there. But you know, that's the beauty of NLP, right? NLP can be whatever you want. The computers are not smart. You know, NLP teaches you exactly how dumb computers are, right? Because you have to show it everything from the very beginning, including like what the words, not what the words mean, but like the numerical values of the words. Because that's all that the algorithm ultimately cares about, right? So build it yourself, right? Put all the components together yourself. Very achievable, very achievable. With NLTK, you can come up with your own dictionary, your own token files, like in no time. You know, that's like half a morning's worth of work. You know, assuming you know you're kind of sort of okay with some Python data engineering stuff, right? Vic says the primary objective is to do with root cause analysis where the data is sufficient enough. My initial instincts were to do word clouds after removing stop words, punctuation, and go from there. Yeah, sure. That could work. That could work as long as you're using that as a starting point, right? Word clouds are great visualizations. They're great exploratory tools, but they're rarely an answer. So just keep that in mind. You're going to want to keep that in mind, right? Because I've used a lot of word clouds in my day, and they make great visualizations for stakeholders. Stakeholders love word clouds. You want to have a good presentation on an NLP project, put in as many word clouds as you can. People love those. But they're not great for the long term. Why? Because they're terrible at showing trends. Right? Word clouds are not great for trends. They're just moments in time. So I'm with you on this, Vic. It sounds like you're on a good path there. But don't stop there. Because word clouds are not the final form of your answer. You need to go usually a lot deeper than that. But yeah. No presentation goes bad when you have a word cloud in it. So if you're just joining us late, please let us know your city, state, province, country. We always invite people to introduce themselves, keeps the chat professional, keeps everybody knowing each other. But if you have a question or anything else I can help you with, now is a good time for it. I think that Vic has given us an interesting thing to think about. Now, here's the thing, guys. You guys know that I don't call on anybody. You know, I know people are shy. People want to kind of participate on their own time or whatnot, right? But I think sometimes people have a hard time participating when it comes to NLP because NLP is a little bit more of the specialized side of data science. So is that why a lot of the chat's being quiet today? Like maybe just today's audience isn't into NLP, or you know, isn't interested in the topic, or maybe you guys do things other besides NLP. But let me know how you feel about that, because I always find it interesting the different niches of data science that people go into, and some people aren't comfortable with NLP. You know, to some people, NLP seems like the most complex of all the of all the data science possibilities, right? Which I think is a little weird because I'm comfortable with it. I'm not going to call myself an expert in it. I'm kind of sort of okay at it. But to me, NLP is like one of the easier niches of data science. But you guys tell me. You guys tell me. I'm always curious to know why some chats have more participation than others. But you guys tell me. Okay, so Rex, thank you for volunteering. Rex says, NLP is one of my weakest data science areas. Need to take real dedicated time to study it. Yep. I think it's intimidating, Rex, but I know that you're a smart guy, so I think that you'll be fine with it. It's just one of those things that when you take the components and you kind of look like, oh, okay, yeah, the dictionary does this, and then the lemmatizing exists because of this, and then you want to do this, and then you know, like you think about the different layers involved. It's like, oh, okay, kind of makes sense, right? Like it just becomes like this big workflow. But I get it. At first, it's very intimidating to think about NLP, right? But yeah, I mean, if you guys want something like kind of like as a tangent to study in your data science side, I think looking at NLP is interesting. I've done a lot of NLP work for clients. In most business settings, that's where you're going to find the greatest opportunities for you as an individual to progress and for your team, right? Because as I've mentioned before, everybody thinks they can do analytics, right? Nobody out there thinks they have trouble analyzing an Excel file, right? Everybody thinks they can do it, right? So the parts that people will approach you with or that will find more intimidating are when they have text documents, manuals, policies, contracts, all that kind of stuff, right? Agreements. That's when they'll be like, oh, okay, we need the data science team for this, right? But when they're looking at an Excel file, they're not going to be thinking, oh, let's talk to the data science guys about this, right? So I think it's a good addition for that because most corporate stuff you'll do most likely will be around NLP stuff. Vic says, yep, tokenize, vectorize, feed into model, hyperparameter tuning, and then maybe turns out you were right more than you were wrong. True positives, true negatives. Yep, that you're on the right path there, Vic. Joseph says, what if we group or create buckets of related word sets? Yep, that could work too. That could work too, Joseph. But again, the challenge there is how do you track that over time? And also, how do you get a meaningful result from that, right? One of the hardest things to do from most NLP and kind of like most unstructured data is how do you get trends and seasonality out of it, right? That's very hard. So Joseph, like what you're describing and also like word clouds, they can work, but you'd have to show like some time element to it, right? Like this is what it was in March, and then this is what it was in January, or this is what it was like in the spring, and this is what it was in the winter. You know what I mean? Like you have to show contrast. It can't just be like a singular result. Like a singular result doesn't really work a lot for NLP or for these types of projects. Because he said it like it's construction accident data or something like that, right? So you obviously want to get meaningful information out of construction accidents, not text, right? Kind of a nuanced difference there. Hello, sir. I had a question about the reports created for the project last week. I was wondering how similar will other reports for clients be for, let's say, the project Vic is trying to complete. Very similar. Very similar, right? What was the problem in front of you? What is the what were the elements you tried? What was the element you chose? Why did you choose that? What are the challenges? It's the same structure, right? The structure that I presented to you guys on Sunday is agnostic to whatever project or technology you're working with, right? What about for a computer vision project or a Gen AI project? Same thing. Same thing, right? You have to choose a path for computer vision, right? Computer vision has different algorithms, different approaches. You have to justify why you chose that path, right? There's risks associated with that. So it's the same framework that I gave you guys on Sunday, right? So for those of you that don't know, this past Sunday, we wrapped up our latest series on creating a data science project from beginning to end. And the last step is preparing a report, preparing like the results, right? Preparing like the delivery, the business impact delivery to a client. So that's what Denelson is asking about. So I tried to present that on Sunday in an outline format, and that outline should apply to anything you do, right? What were you trying to solve? What did you try to solve it? What did you explore? Of your explorations, which one did you choose? Why did you choose that one? Okay, so now you've presented the solution. You presented the problem, and here's how we're going to solve it, right? Okay, 1, show me some results. Show me the business impact. 2, what are my risks in choosing this? 3, what would your opponent say about this? What are the criticisms of your approach? And then 4, how do you reply to those criticisms, right? And then the last section, as I've always said, any good report, white paper, article, whatever, always ends with building on your work, right? How do you improve the work, right? All of that results in saying, hey, here's what we did. Here's the delivery of our project. And that can be done for whatever it is you're working on. Anything really. Ari, thank you. I think it's your first time over on YouTube. Ari, we always ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know your city, state, province, country. Helps to keep the chat professional. And, lets you practice introducing yourself, okay? Leo says late but here. Leo, how you doing? Hope you're doing well out there in New York City. Rex tells us you're having beautiful weather, so hope you're doing well. Let us know how you're doing, Leo. Leo, today we're talking about NLP. We're talking about NLP and how how our new friend Vic can go about looking at his construction accident data. So good discussion so far. Good discussion so far. Leo says, yes, great day today. Nice. Good to hear that. I wish I was out there in New York. I love New York in December. I usually use December to travel. All these different trips and all that. Wish I was doing that this December, but a little busier. Relu says, or Ari says, my name is Alex from Kenya. Okay, great. Thank you so much for introducing yourself, Alex, and welcome. So Alex says, I am good at creating machine learning models and analysis, but I am always confused when deploying or building APIs. Yeah, that's a good question, Alex. And this is something that I want to do as a Sunday tutorial. So we have a little window coming up where we could do some one-off tutorials. And I'm thinking maybe this Sunday or maybe next Sunday. I haven't really decided. Maybe this Sunday we'll do something around APIs that could be fun. Doing something around APIs could definitely be fun. But we'll see. We'll see. It's definitely not a easy topic, but the good news is that it's not exclusive to data science. You can find a ton of Python resources on how to create APIs because it's not a data science function. It's a traditional development function, right? We should still be knowledgeable about it as data scientists, but there's a lot of resources out there. So if you guys want to send me some feedback on that, either now or later, but it did cross my mind that this Sunday we talk about APIs and create an API, that talks to some data science side, right? But yeah, I hear you on that. It can definitely be a more difficult topic. So Vic says, a constraint for us is that we have to use Dataiku to do the project, and my manager and other team members have told me to minimize Python-based recipes. I am used to Jupyter notebooks. Ugh. From your master's degree. Okay. You use two terrible words in there. You use Jupyter and you use Data IQ. Both of those are terrible. Why would your manager want you to minimize Python-based recipes? That is also terrible advice. Leo says, here you go. Leo, Leo, sometimes I think you come just for my biases. Is that the only reason you're here, Leo? Vic, what is the rationale for wanting to limit the Python recipes? Because that is dumb. I am sorry, that is dumb. Why would you want to lock yourself into Data IQ or any package, right? You prevent from being too locked in by having your own Python recipes, but you're telling me that they've told you to minimize the Python recipes. So that's not good, right? So if you're able to share more of that rationale, I want to know about that. But yeah, I want to know why, Vic. And also get away from the Jupyter notebooks. Jupyter notebooks would not save you in this instance, right? So you need to get away from that too, please, okay? Oh, was somebody... Oh, that's unfortunate. Was somebody spamming? Thank you, Leo. Appreciate you being on top of that. It's unfortunate that we're getting some spam there. Thanks, Leo. Thanks for being on top of that. Really appreciate that. Denelson says, in the Sunday project, there was little data enrichment. Maybe I missed exactly how we enrich the data, but how would this process affect any of the reports we write for clients? Yeah, good question, Denelson. It depends. So, did you already create those data pipelines for enrichment, right? Because enrichment usually means you have to have additional pipelines. Is the data free? Maybe you had to pay for it. If you remember, we talked about that in our report, right? We said that we didn't go with the new sentiment analysis because it would require increasing costs, right? What is the frequency of the enrichment? Maybe you have a model that they use on a daily basis, but the data is only enriched monthly, right? So timing comes into that, right? So Denelson, I'm glad that you're talking about enrichment, but let's take the meta view. The meta view is at any time you make a modification to your project, whether it's enrichment or the model or the servers, whatever, just think about it as risks. What are the risks and benefits, right? What is the risks and benefits that you're looking at? Hey, we the data science team chose this option. Here's why we chose it, the benefits. Here's what we see as the risks. Now you, the client, can decide what you want to do with that, right? That's ultimately all we can do. All we can do is present options, present the landscape, and then let them choose, right? So that's how I would think about that, Donaldson, right? You can have enrichment, you can have other changes, you can, we didn't do multiple servers. We did a single server deployment, right? Well, multiple servers brings its risks, right? What are those? But it also brings its benefits. What are those, right? So it's always about when you're presenting those reports, in your meetings and your deliverables, what are the risks and benefits? That's it. That's it. Yeah, thank you, Leo. Because Leo's right. The multiple messages do kind of mess up my chat interface because I'm not seeing the individual boxes. Vic says, coming back to the Data IQ question, he said that historically we have had many questions raised by the HQ code review team on projects with a good number of Python recipes, plus Data IQ requirements is from client side, out of my hands. No, that's not out of your hands. That's bad leadership, right? That's bad leadership and weird client requirements. Yeah, don't avoid. Yeah, I'm saying this to everybody in the chat, right? Don't avoid a good solution just because the code review team is going to give you a hard time about it. That's not data science, guys, right? You should be doing the best solution possible, the best work possible for you, for your client, for your project, for your reputation, right? But don't try to do a big runaround just because the code review team is going to take an extra week on it. That's not a good reason to do anything, right? So keep that in mind, guys, right? I would do some pushback on my manager and or the code review team for that. Because it's really, really hard to do work in tools like Dataiku, Snowflake, whatever the other ones are. Data.io, I think, is another one, right? It's really, really hard to do good work in those tools unless you're willing to do your own custom Python, right? Because otherwise you're just using the same tool everybody else on the planet is, right? If you just use it out of the box, then where's your competitive advantage? Your Python recipes are your competitive advantage, right? Vic says, this is my first job right after finishing my master's in November, so I am nervous as heck. Okay, yeah, sure. I can empathize with that, right? You're the new guy. I get it. But a good solution's a good solution, right? I mean, if you present it the right way, then you can't be denied because you're still doing things in a scientifically sound way, right? So, and again, I'm talking in general to the chat here, not just to Vic. Be careful working for companies and managers that are very dogmatic in that way. Well, we have to use this tool, or we have to do it this way because the code review team throws a fit if we don't. Well, that's not a very good reason to do things, right? You should always be pursuing the best solution possible. And if that best solution possible uses no Python recipes, okay. And if it uses 200 of them, that should be okay too, right? A good solution is still what you should be pursuing. So Vic, I get it. This is going to be partially on you and how you present it, how you communicate, how you've demonstrated your value to the team, right? That's a big part of it. But I'm kind of disappointed to see this, right? Because this is not good leadership. Avoiding a potential solution because code review is going to have a hard time with it is a terrible answer. I would be highly disappointed if my manager ever gave me an answer like that. A good solution is still a good solution. For the regex, I did it with a Python recipe with if and elif statements. So that should not raise red flags. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Don't write stuff because of red flags. Guys, if you're writing code, hoping that it won't raise red flags, you've already lost. What are you doing? You've already lost. Do it because it's a good solution, right? Or be creative about it, right? Like when we're talking, like Vic, when we're talking about this regex item, like that doesn't even need to be in Dataiku. Why not just make that like a pre-processing step? Make it the very first step you run after you get data, but before you import into Dataiku, right? Because then it's not a Dataiku recipe, right? But it's still a good solution. It's still the right solution. It's still the right way to go about it, right? But guys, I mean, if you're saying I'm going to try to sneak this code by and not raise a red flag, you've already lost. What are you doing to yourself? Right? So Vic, I think you need to have a, well, I mean, do what you want to do. Because, I obviously have limited information. I don't know your exact work culture, environment, and all that. But try to find the right time, the right situation to bring this up with whoever is telling you all the other stuff, to recognize that a good solution is still a good solution. Your manager doesn't want to pass code review. Your manager wants a good deliverable. So you need to help him realize that and say, hey, I know what you really want to do is you really want to serve our client. And the best way we do that is by doing X, Y, and Z, not avoiding X, Y, and Z, right? So I would encourage you to develop those communication skills, the emotional intelligence, your relationship with your manager, with your higher ups, to work on that. Because a good solution will always be a good solution, not trying to avoid red flags or doing it because code review said so, right? So we're talking about a very complex discussion from here on in. These are the types of discussions I have with people that approach me for personal coaching, because Vic, I do offer personal coaching as a service. I also offer coaching on individual projects. You know, when people get stuck or they just need like a mentor to help them or other ideas to help them. You know, this is something that I offer. So you can find those links on my YouTube and in my Instagram. I work one-on-one with people. I give people a full analysis, a full report. And I have a lot of really interesting conversations that way as far as the different people that I meet, the different perspectives that they have. And sometimes people just need help with their career in general. So this is something that I offer as a service. You're welcome to book a call with me on that. You can find the links in my YouTube and on basically all of my social media. Okay. All right, guys. What a great discussion. Thanks so much for everything. Really appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for the new people. We had a couple of new people today, so I hope you keep on coming back. I stream Thursdays to Monday. On Sundays, we do a little bit of a longer tutorial. This Sunday, we might do some API work. I'll consider that. That could be fun. All right, guys. So as always, craziness happening in the world, all these drones and UFOs and orbs and all this other nonsense. So please, I worry about all of you because I know you're all over the world. So please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.